London. Parliamentary call. The Czech Crisis had brought about 400 MPs back to the seat of government during their summer recess to debate Russia's invasion of the freedom-seeking nation. From all over the country they came, representatives of our democracy, to hear the Prime Minister salute the Czechs and say that man's great urge for freedom can never be extinguished. The freedom they are striving for is one they have never personally experienced. The citizens of Prague knew the full meaning of occupation by force. The Russians, while supposedly their allies, were not wanted. The fighting spirit of many Czechs was aroused. They retaliated against overwhelming power. But it showed the free world, and Russia too, that their desire to shape their own destiny was stronger even than the heaviest tank or the biggest gun. The Czechs didn't take their bondage lightly. They fought, they disobeyed curfew regulations, they held strikes, and more passively, they did their damnedest not to cooperate with those who had come from outside to regulate their way of life. In the midst of their troubles was the added concern for their leaders, Dubček, Svoboda, and others who had disappeared. However, it was learned they were in Moscow, having talks with the Kremlin bosses. They talked, and the world wondered. In London, freedom for the Czechs was the root of one Sunday demonstration. They converged on Speaker's Corner. About 12,000 of them heard government and Labour Party leaders denounce the Russian aggression. But most of the speeches were lost in chanting, jeering and booing by groups representing several other causes. There were anarchists, CND and anti-Vietnam War supporters. They clashed continually, especially when former Foreign Secretary George Brown began to speak. The cheering and booing intensified and scuffles broke out. But Mr. Brown roared his speech above the shouting. A thin line of police and steward protected the platform. It was strained but held fast. Then the angry mob made for the Russian embassy. Their mood was black, but the police were prepared for trouble. It was just as well, for present were the troublemaking element which London has come to know and despise during the past few months. Whatever the world's troubles, it was proved once again that mobs really do nothing except inflame already delicate situations. Dubček and Svoboda are now home from their talks with some form of solution to their country's future. A country, like many others, in quest of peace.